बनेगा बनेगा स्वच्छ इंडिया।
Hello, welcome to a special edition of Reality Check coming to you from the Gomti waterfront in Lucknow. Water. I can tell you that water is arguably going to be one of the biggest talking points in the next 15, 20 to 30 years. India, already water scarce, it could get a lot worse. Is it because there's an absolute shortage of water? Is it because we are mismanaging the water that we had? Is our supply going down or is it not? So those are some of the concerns that we've been talking about, and we will no doubt continue to talk about it. Why are we talking about it specifically right now? Well, there's been a rally for rivers that has been going through the country, led by Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. It's been talking about the need to find long-term solutions for rivers. But naturally, there are questions, there's controversies, all of that are continuing to arise. Is it in some way linked to the entire concept of interlinking rivers? And if so, is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? Is this the only solution to plant trees on the banks of the river? Or are there better and stronger ideas that should be out there? What at the end of the day are the solutions? Well, that's why we are here. The Rally for Rivers is here in Lucknow, as in fact is Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. Well, first of all, let me ask you, what are you hoping to achieve?
See, fundamentally considering that what we have to do is a very long-term plan, we need a policy which is implementable and if necessary enforceable. Or in other words, we have to have a policy where we treat our rivers as a national treasure, not by personal whim of individual people or NGOs or even states for that matter. Why this is needed is, right now on an average, a little over 40% is the depletion in all the rivers across the country. Major rivers like Narmada has depleted 60%, Krishna over 70%, Kaveri over 40%, Ganga 44%.
Which is why you're seeing conflict starting, right? The Kaveri conflict, conflicts in many parts.
See, conflict is another matter, that is there are many aspects involved in that, I wouldn't like to get into that because there are various aspects involved, not necessarily because of shortage, but definitely shortage is an issue. If there was a copious amount of water, obviously there wouldn't be a conflict because they can't hold that much in one state, it has to move to the next state, that is a very obvious thing. But the important thing we need to understand is, there are two types of rivers. One is glacier-fed, another is forest-fed. Fortunately for us, only 4% of the river water in this country is glacier-fed. Why I'm saying fortunately is, because we can't make snowfall happen. We can't create more ice, it's not in our hands, it's a global situation. 96% is forest-fed waters. What forest-fed river means is, in a country like this, we have only 40 to 45 days of rain in a year, in a given year. So this 45 days of precipitation, we have to preserve and let it flow for 365 days, that's what our rivers are. So one thing that's happened is the loss of green cover is phenomenal. For example, in the Ganga basin, which covers literally 25% of India's geography, here the loss of green cover in the last 70 years is 79%. 79% of green cover you remove, I don't know what is the plan. So in Sabarmati, where in Gujarat I was there, the loss of green cover is 94%. Like this we can go on with lot of rattling statistics, but fundamentally, what held water, that base we have removed. If we don't put it back, there is no way to revive the river.
So let me understand this correct. Your basic thesis is to say, put the forest back in, plant the trees once again, those trees will be able to hold the water during the monsoons, release them in the rest of the year, and that way we will try and find a solution to water. Does that sum it up?
To an extent. It largely, yes. See, one aspect is, approximately the length of the major rivers in the country amounts to about 20,000 kilometers. In these 20,000 kilometers, 25% fortunately is still in the government hands, the land. This must become forests. Just leaving 2 to 3% for developmental activity, rest of it must be turned into forest. I'm very confident we will do it because all the state governments are coming around for that. Now, the 75% is in the farmer's hands. You can't tell a poor farmer to save the river or save the ecology or whatever. Again, 6 to 8% is delta lands. We don't have to touch the delta land. So what we are essentially talking about, 65%, which is approximately 14,000 kilometers. 14,000 kilometers, both sides 1 kilometer is 28,000 square kilometers. So now we have set up modules in the last 22 years that we've been active with Project Green Hands. We've set up modules where a farmer shifting from crop-based agriculture to tree-based agriculture, his income goes up 3 to 8 times in 6 to 7 years' time. But this has to be done scientifically in a correct manner, and also it needs the backing of the industry for the produce that comes out of it, value addition, cold storage, all these aspects.
So the government plants trees on its land and the farmers shift to horticulture, which
Not only horticulture, there are tree-based agriculture, variety of things to do. It has to be multi-species, then only the river will benefit.
So, some of the questions obviously that are coming up around this are, first of all, is your rally for rivers linked to this entire concept of the interlinking of rivers? Because there are people who are saying it's the right thing to do and it's the best thing to do, but there are lots of critics also who are saying that it's going to create as many problems as it's going to solve. Look at Ken Betwa, they're trying to link those rivers, but 2.3, millions of trees are going to be submerged as a result of that. So does the interlinking of rivers really work is one of the questions.
See, when you talk about interlinking, you're talking about the usage of water. I'm not talking about the usage. How the water should be used is between the people and the government. I am talking about augmenting water flows in the river. That's a fundamental requirement. Because only if rivers flow, then the question of how to use it will come up.
So this is not a rally for the interlinking of rivers?
No, that is a different affair altogether. That is a question of usage of water. This is about augmenting river water.
So there are a lot of people will say that the real problems for rivers like this is only partially water flow, it's also pollutants that are going into it, the things that are done to our rivers. I mean, this one is looking relatively clean, but actually even here, if you look down, look at the amount of garbage, look at the amount of sewage, untreated sewage that flows into these rivers. That's the problem that we need to address as well.
See, pollution is a problem, there's no question about that. But the basic problem is lack of water in the rivers. So pollution, if we are determined, in 3 years' time we can make sure not a drop of polluted water or sewage water will flow into the river. This is… I don't know if you want me to…
Government action and other things.
We have worked out, this is called filth to wealth. How we can use this concentrated human habitations, how we can use it to see that this filth will become wealth for somebody. So, this has to be properly done, and there is in the policy, this is a 700-page document. In this, we have also included how to handle this in a commercial manner. What I'm saying is, this is not something that the government should try to set up treatment plants, this. This must be commercialized, that only government's business is to get it out in 1 or 2 or whatever number of outlets. Right now, let's say Lucknow city, there may be 500 outlets. These 500 outlets, if you bring it down to 25 outlets, you ask private industry to build. There are companies which can build these capacities, and if they build, like you are paying for your water, electricity, see if you are getting 100 liters of water into your home, at least 70 liters is flowing out as sewage. So, if we are metering your water, using that 60 or 70 liters, we can just calculate as sewage and charge you for that. That money can easily fund the thing, and over…
Private industry so far, by the way, has a pretty bad record when it comes to how it deals with water, not just…
No, we should understand this. See, we have asked the private industry which pollutes to set up its own treatment plant. That's not what I'm saying. I am talking about for someone for whom filth is the raw material. Sewage is the raw material. He will make sure that you comply. See, right now, if I have invested money and put up a treatment plant and you're letting your sewage straight into the river, will I keep quiet? Because that's my business.
No, that's a different way of looking at it. I was talking about more the role that governments and industry and others are playing about continuing to cut down the forests in the catchment areas, which still remains one of the big issues which we have to try and address.
See, we must understand this. This is a very wrong understanding that there is a catchment area and there is no catchment area. Every inch of geography is catchment if you use it properly. Yes, there are some catchments which are more prime because there are valleys from which the rivers is flowing, but actually river doesn't flow because there is a valley like this, on the surface water comes and joins the river, that happens to some extent, but the real flow of the river happens because of the aquifers which provide the water. Right now, the two things which are taking away the waters from the river is, one thing is lack of green cover, next thing is very heavy exploitation of groundwater. So these two things have to change, means the biggest user of water in the country is agriculture. 84% of the water is used by agriculture. This is because we are still irrigating lands as we did 1,000 years ago. Many nations, people are growing the same crops that we are growing, getting better yields and using only 10 to 20% of the water that we are using.
Drip irrigation and
The various micro irrigations are there, various ways of doing it. And above all, our soil has lost its organic content. See, to call soil as soil, according to United Nations standards, a minimum 2% of organic content should be there. But in states like Haryana, Punjab, Marathwada, southern Tamil Nadu, northern Karnataka, some parts of Andhra Pradesh, the organic content is 0.05%, not 0.5, 0.05%. This means this soil is slated to become sand in the next 3 to 5 years. It is estimated that in the next 5 years, 25% of India's land will be uncultivable. In the next 40 years, 60% of the land will be uncultivable. If you make 60% of the land uncultivable, what are you going to do with this 1.3 billion population?
Thrust what you're wanting to do is to put trees on the banks of the river.
Not here, this is
not in the middle of Lucknow, but on the banks of rivers. Is that the right place to do it? Should it be up in the hills? Should it be in cropland, or all of the above?
See, up in the hills is a must. That's why I'm saying 25% fortunately is still in the government hands. This has to become proper forest, no question about that. There we are not talking 1 kilometer. We are talking about as much land that is there has to be converted into forest.
And conserve existing government forests that are still being cut down.
See, existing government…
submerged
No,
in some
the
cases.
existing government forests, many of them are designated as forests, but they're saying jungle hai, jaad nahi hai. Okay, there are many forests like this. So it has to be brought back. So there are many complexities in execution. But first thing we are asking is a policy direction, so that a direction is set, then implementation in India, it may take time, but we should start doing it now. Because as a nation, see, when we got our independence in 1947, one thing is we did not have any business, no commercial activity, no industry, and the nation was broken into 3 pieces, enormous social stress, 500,000 people killed, 3 to 5 million people migrating. I mean, it's a huge, humongous amount of problems. So we went into a strong survival mode. When we are in survival mode, we do desperate things, of course. So we did many desperate things just to survive. 50 years went by like this. In the last 20 years, we've been in a developmental mode. When you're wanting to develop in a big way also, you don't consider many things. Right. But now we have come to a point where we have to think of sustainability in a serious way.
So, you've been traveling through the entire country. I mean, there are some people who say that is this in some way linked to one political party or the other? Is it linked to the BJP, or are you having a lot of success with the opposition as well?
See, right now, the 10 states that I have covered are ruled by 6 different parties. Every one of them have spoken in one voice. This is something that you have to acknowledge. All the political parties across the country are speaking in one voice for the first time, and this is phenomenal and this is fantastic. You have to acknowledge them for this. We can complain about 1,000 things about them, but this is one thing you have to acknowledge, because when I was in Puducherry, the Puducherry Chief Minister was telling me, Sadhguru, 24 years ago, when I was in Rajiv Gandhi's cabinet, our experts prepared a plan or a policy very similar to what you're talking. We tried very hard, but we could never get concurrence from the states. Okay. But believe me now, concurrence has happened. One of the biggest hurdles that they could not cross, we have crossed quite effortlessly. Concurrence has happened across the country, yes, across political spectrum. Okay. All the 16 state chief ministers are participating in the event. Most of them we are signing MOUs for doing this on the riverside. First, what we are doing is, forest plantation will start anyway, But for the farm is the challenge. We have to convince the farmer that this is going to be economically better for him. So for this we are asking a large enough module. We have set up small modules which are successful. A large enough module means we are talking about minimum 50 to 100 kilometer length with allied industry and multi-farming with proper irrigation, micro-irrigation, everything. In 4 years' time, if you show this is an economic success, after that you can't stop it.
Okay. Sadhguru, such a pleasure as always talking to you. And all the best for the rest of the rally.
you.
I believe you've been driving entirely on your own, right?
Yes,
7,000
I drive myself.
As
I'm
of
just
today, 7,000 kilometers.
400 meters short of 7,000 kilometers
Okay,
right
we
now
should,
when I
we
park
should
there.
go and we should go and finish the remaining 400 meters.
Banega Swachh India.
Watch the NDTV Dettol Banega Swachh India Cleanathon with Amitabh Bachchan on the 2nd of October. 12 hours live from 9 AM to 9 PM only on NDTV. Be a part of the campaign. Log on to ndtv.com/Swachh India.